Hey everyone, what I'd like to do today is talk about Apple's hardware refresh for 2025. Over the last few days, we've seen announcements for a refresh of the iPad range, of the Mac range, and we've got the iPhone 16e to talk about as well. So I'd like to give you my quick impressions about all of these products, and I'd like to put it over to you guys. Please do post a comment down below. Let me know what you like, what you dislike about these new products. Give me your opinion on all of them down below in the comment area. So we'll jump over to the official website, and I just want to clarify this is my initial impression of all of these products and just my kind of quick view on all of them. I haven't delved deep and looked at a lot of reviews of these yet. I'm actually just back from a few weeks in India where the weather was amazing, the food was fantastic. I ate way too much food, but we did a lot. We managed to go up to the temples. I got my head shaved up there. A fantastic experience, but I'm back to the grind, back to work this week, and back to talking about tech. So when I was over in India, I was still following a lot of the news about the iPhone 16 and about what was coming up with these announcements with which you can see here. So you can see the announcement here for the MacBook Air, the new Mac Studio, iPad Air, iPad, and iPhone 16. Now, what I will say, iPhone 16, well, you can see the way they've positioned things now. 3 cameras, 2 cameras, 1 camera. The iPhone 16 is, the kind of entry level point to the iPhone 16 range. And, on its own, forgetting about price and all that, I'm sure it's a fantastic phone. I'm sure performance is good because they've got a version of the A18 chip. But you're really not getting any value here, and that's the big disappointment that I've got. So you can see here that it's an A18 CPU, but it's got a 4-core GPU. You're losing camera control. You're losing extra camera lenses. You're losing MagSafe as well. I can't work out that one. I don't understand why they've removed that. So you're removing Dynamic Island. Yeah, you've got a USB-C connection, but for me, the big thing here is I realize they have to separate all of these iPhones. They have to create differences. They have to kind of limit things. But with the iPhone 16e, you're still getting a 60 hertz display. And I don't know. If this was a £400 phone, a $450 phone, I would probably just have bought one and just, impulse buy. I'll buy one. iPhones hold their value, etc. But it's £600. It's a hard sell. Especially, that's a 128 gigabyte version. You're another £100 if you want 256. Now you're at 700. I really do think that if you've got 600 to spend on an iPhone, buy a used iPhone 15 Pro or iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's the way to go. It's just for the entry point, I think this is too much. And there's a lot of great used iPhones out there. Maybe you guys will disagree, but I think they've just removed too much from the iPhone 16 to get it down to the 16e. And yeah, I would look towards getting an iPhone 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max myself. That's the way I would go. So we've also seen a refresh of the iPad. You can see here the A16 chip is now in there. It's got double the storage, and we've got the M3 chip in the iPad Air. I don't have a lot to say about the iPad range, but what I will say is that every version of the iPad tends to just be a small, upgrade from the previous version. The entry level iPad here, I think this is a fair price. And I think that for 90% of people, this is the one to get because you can browse the web, you can, play games, you can watch Netflix, watch YouTube. You can do most things with this. Still a lot of accessories there. You can see the keyboard cover, the pencil, etc. So for most people, this is the one to get. If you like the smaller form factor, obviously you've got the iPad mini as well. But if you're going to university, if you need something for work, you might want the extra performance that you get with that M3 chip. So you're looking at the iPad Air. As you know, Apple with their pricing ladders, you increase the storage, you add accessories. Before you know it, you're looking at the money you would spend on maybe an iPad Pro. So, if you do go up from the iPad range to the iPad Air, you're kind of fighting between whether you buy the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. But it's good to see that the iPad Air now has the M3 chip. That's a bump up. And with all of these new releases, when a new iPad comes out, when a new iPhone comes out, etc., the older Apple products go down in price. So even if you don't plan to buy this particular iPad Air, the good news is that the older versions of the iPad Air are now cheaper. But yeah, can't really complain about these announcements. They're kind of refreshes, just new CPU, etc. There's nothing that really stands out as being a massive, massive jump ahead. Then look at the MacBook Air. So I do have a lot of love for the MacBook Air. I had a year or so or about that with the M1 version of the MacBook Air. Great display, great battery life, etc. And we've now got the M4 chip in this laptop. So it's a very attractive option. I know a lot of people just default to the MacBook Pro just because of power, because of performance, and I totally understand that. But there's a lot to be said about having a laptop that's lighter. There really is a lot to be said about having a laptop that's a lot lighter, and the Air is a lot lighter than the Pro. So yeah, when I review my laptop options later in the year, I'm not going to default to the MacBook Pro just because it has more performance. I think I'll have a look at the MacBook Air. We've now got 16 gigabyte of memory compared to a few years ago, etc. So that's good to see. But just like all of the Apple products, you add additional memory, you add additional storage. That's when you go, oh, maybe I should get a Pro. But it looks like a nice refresh. I like the fact I've got the M4 chip in it. The only disappointment, I think, for me would be that it's not got Thunderbolt 5. I'd love to have seen Thunderbolt 5 there. Just makes it more flexible as far as connecting accessories and SSDs, etc. But it's a small complaint. But yeah, the new MacBook Air looks fantastic. I'll wait to see what the reviews are like, but it looks like it's a good refresh. Now, the last announcement is the Mac Studio, and this is the one that I've really been holding out for myself because, as you know, my keyboard's in the way there. As you know, I bought the Mac Mini M4. I think it must be like 5 or 6 months ago now at this point. And I've used it to test a lot of things. I still have to test my cameras more. I've been really delayed in doing that, but I've been really impressed with this. And one of the reasons I went for the base model and not the top model of the Mac Mini was because I was waiting for the new version of the Mac Studio. And we have it here. This new Mac Studio has up to a whopping 6 Thunderbolt 5 ports. We can get an M4 Max, an M3 Ultra. So we've got 4 Thunderbolt 5 at the back. There's 2 at the front. We've got 10 gigabit Ethernet as well. 2 USB Type A, HDMI headphones. This naming policy, I realize that the Ultra is, the most powerful chip in the range. It's just a little bit confusing to see like the M3 Ultra being significantly more powerful and more expensive than the M4. It's just, I don't know, just the way that they're naming this, I think is a little bit confusing because you'd automatically assume that the M4 is more than M3. But as you can see here, the M3 Ultra is an absolute beast. I mean, just look at the amount of memory bandwidth, the amount of cores that you can have, and you can obviously bump all these up as well once you start pricing it up. For me, that's the Mac Studio ticks so many boxes. And I do realize that a lot of people are going to look at the Mac Studio and go, well, I'd rather get the MacBook Pro because now you get the display, etc. But one of the attractions for me with a computer like this is all of these different connection points. You've got so much bandwidth you can put through there. So it's great for, for docking stations, for SSDs, for cameras and different things. So for me, at my desk with my recording setup, this is the one to get. But I'm not going to rush out and buy it. I think for the model that I'd want, I'd probably be looking at $3,000. The reason I'm not going to rush out and buy it right away is because I've got some more tests to do with my M4 Mac Mini. But also around the house, I've probably got another $1,000 to spend on my network. I want to upgrade a few different things to 10 gigabit Ethernet switches and router, etc. So I want to spend money on that first. And I also want to wait for reviews. I want to see what people see, what they say about SSD speeds, what they say about the Studio itself. And I've said it multiple times in this video, but the other thing is that when Apple announces new products, the good thing is that you'll see the older versions of the product being discounted. You'll see the used prices dropping as well. And sometimes those are the better options. So as much as that new Mac Studio is on my shopping list and it's something that I'm really keen on buying, I'm not going to rule out buying the last version of the Mac Studio, or perhaps even, a few versions before, because those might be good enough for me. And it might do the job for me. But what's really selling it for me with the new Mac Studio is the Thunderbolt 5 connection. I really like the idea of having so much power in such a small form factor. I'll put it over to you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of these computers, the iPad, the new iPhone 16e, etc., the new MacBooks, and the new Mac Studio. Let me know what you think about it. I realize I've not really delved deep in any of these, but when it comes to an Apple refresh, most of the time you're just getting a CPU bump, or you're getting a few small upgrades. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. It's a kind of standard Apple refresh, but the Mac Studio for me is probably one of the most interesting ones. I'm going to keep my eyes on that MacBook Air as well. Just keep keep my eyes peeled for a bargain there. I'll put it over to you guys. What's your thoughts on all of these products? And I'll speak to you all in the next one. Take care.